Hey guys, Pops from Bourbon Banter here with another bourbon review for you. Today we're going to be featuring the infamous, maybe, J.R. Ewing Bourbon. This came out earlier this year in celebration of the TV show Dallas. It was put out into the market by South Fork Bottling Company, and that's an important thing to remember because they did not distill it. So in this day and age when everybody's talking about who's making what and people not saying who's making what, it's important to realize that this one is not made by South Fork Distilling Company. Instead, they've sourced this. It is a 4-year-old Kentucky straight bourbon from Lawrenceburg, so you can make your best guess at who that could be. It is 80 proof, so it's on the lower end of the scale. And I thought we'd go ahead and talk about it today because as a child growing up, I loved Dallas. Friday nights were a huge night in my family lives. We would get together. My parents would get in their recliners. All of us kids would get on the ground. We watched Dallas, and we'd watch Falcon Crest, and so it was a big part of what we would do. And you know, back then we had one TV. Sometimes we had a VCR, sometimes we didn't. So it was a lot of fun to get together week to week, and it was a great cliffhanger show, especially when JR got shot. I think we all remember that. In fact, as a young child, I had a shirt that said, "Who shot J.R. Ewing?" So a big deal. So I thought it'd be fun to try this. I've always been curious of what a bourbon would taste like when they put out claims that it's the type of bourbon that J.R. Ewing would drink. You know, for me, I've always envisioned something strong, masculine, expensive. This is not expensive. This is $35 is a suggested retail price. So let's go ahead and dive into it and see what we can find out. You know, the first thing that you're going to notice in looking at this is it is really, really light in color. If I didn't know better, I would guess a little bit younger than 4 years of age, based on the color of that alone. When you nose it, you know, you get a nice light aroma of vanilla, a little bit of honey, just a tinge of oak. But then there's something that I usually don't normally smell, and that is, I smell black tea, like black loose leaf tea in it, and that's a note that I usually don't pick up in bourbons. Let's give it a taste. When it first hits your tongue or your mouth, a little bit of sweet, a little bit of that vanilla, honey sweetness. It gives away really quick to a combination of a corn forward. I think the corn flavor is strong. Obviously, it's only 4 years old. But then a lot of oak. Surprisingly astringent with a lot of oak to it. More than I would expect for a 4-year-old bourbon. After the oak, though, there's not much else to it. The finish, short, and that's it. It's gone. Left with a little bit of that tannic dryness in my mouth from the oak. You know, I have to be honest here. This is not what J.R. Ewing would have drank. You know, I envision a bottle of Blanton's on his credenza in his office. This is anything but that. This is light at 80 proof. It's very underproof. Any flavor it had has been taken out of it. And it goes, like I said, from just a hint of sweetness straight to the oak with nothing in between it. I prefer my bourbons to have lots of vanillas and caramels in it. I know this is younger than a typical bourbon that would get a lot of that vanilla flavor in it, but there's just nothing in between it. So, you know, for me, it's not what I expected to pay, homage to Dallas and to J.R. Ewing. A little disappointed in that. And I think, you know, at $35, you should get a lot more than just a fancy bottle. And, you know, even though if you look at this closely, I don't know if you'll be able to see it on the film, but if you look through it, there's actually a little ink printing on the back of the bottle of South Fork Ranch. So when you hold it up to the light, you can see it, which is very cool. And, you know, it'll look great on your shelf, but for $35, it's really not worth the juice inside. There's a lot better options out on the market right now. If you're a fan of Dallas, have a lot of fond memories like I do of the show, you might want to pick one up, have it up on your shelf as a showpiece. I don't think it's worth the $35 for drinking. I hope that South Fork Bottling will, realize that their first one out of the gate wasn't a home run, but maybe they can do better. Obviously, there's a big run on bourbons these days, especially for people sourcing it. but I think they can do better, and I think J.R. Ewing's TV show legacy deserves more. So try it if you must. There's just not much to it. Mixing it's not going to help. It's going to get lost in that. Not every bourbon can obviously be a winner, and in this case, it's not something that we could recommend. But hopefully you found it interesting, and now you know going into it, if you see it up on the shelf, whether or not you need to buy it. Until the next review, enjoy what you're drinking, and we'll see you then.